Welcome back to Koppai Podcast, episode 30. I am one of your hosts, Cass Rich, joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zacharias.
Shiggity schwat.
Shiggity schwat. And today, if this is your first time listening to Koppai, welcome. Don't turn off the channel. Don't unplug your iPhone from the car jack, and don't mute us or pause the YouTube video. You're going to want to stick with today's show. In the words of Steve Harvey, we got another good one for you today, folks. And so we're going to get right into things. But first, I just want to let you guys know, we're recording this on July 17th at 3:22 p.m. Central Time. So if any news happens in the next hour, say, for example, Nintendo goes out and they said, hey, guys, this is the NX. This is what it looks like. It's 3 centimeters long, 20 feet tall.
If they do that, then expect another Koppai immediately following.
We're doing an immediate reaction to it. I'm just saying, that's the time. We like to say the times. Really quick piece of house cleaning. We're recording this on Sundays now. That seems to be working best with our schedule for the time being. And because of editing, rendering, and all of that good stuff, sometimes these have been posting on Tuesdays. We do apologize for that. If you're used to them going up on Monday, let us know if it is a problem for you. I'm going to try to get this up on Monday, but Tuesday is now kind of the new standard because we're recording a day later. It used to be Saturday released Monday. Now we're doing Sunday and still trying to release Monday. But you know how it is. You know how things are. These thumbnails, these background images, if you're watching on YouTube, they ain't quick.
Yeah.
So I suppose we could get the MP3 out quicker, but with the way I go about editing, I do everything all at once and then just save it all at once as well. And so you win some, you lose some. Also, episode 30. We've made it 3 decades.
Wow.
Of Koppai. Not literally 3 decades. Yeah, class.
Koppai!
And so we've made it through, we made it through the holiday season of 2015.
Yeah.
We've made it through Star Fox Zero. Oh. We've made it through the launch of Pokemon Go and the launch of Miitomo.
Mm-hmm.
We made it through the launch of because we started last May officially with like Koppai. We had a couple episodes that we did a couple years ago with like before even Smash for Wii U launched.
Yeah.
But we started in May, and that was like Splatoon.
Splatoon and Super Mario Maker hype was what it was all about back then.
I think our very first episode is like titled like The Road to Super Mario Maker, and we did all these Let's Plays leading up to Super Mario Maker, which you can find. We have them somewhere online. I think I'm going to take because we had that on an old YouTube channel, just youtube.com/Kazrisk, and those Let's Plays haven't made the transition. The episodes have, but the Let's Plays haven't. And we may have to switch those over. The only thing is it's kind of confusing because we say youtube.com/Kazrisk a lot in the videos.
Yeah.
To get people to subscribe and direct them there, and that's not the case anymore. We are on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming, twitter.com/Koppai Gaming, facebook.com/Koppai Gaming, soundcloud.com/Koppai Podcast for now. I may go ahead and change that to Koppai Gaming as well. Everything's Koppai Gaming now, including our Instagram, which we don't post on at all. But we're working on it. We're trying to get things going. We both got married this summer, so it's been a very, very busy summer. I just got moved in to this new apartment in Minneapolis, and we finally have a dinner table. We're getting to that point where it's almost 100% just completely full of furniture and place to store things and all that and be unpacked. And I also got a new job I started today, as a visual arts designer. So now we've been so busy, and this has been a jam-packed summer. But hopefully in the next couple months with this new job and me getting a steady source of income to buy like new hardware for the computer, and with being completely moved in, and with Zach now being back from his honeymoon and us getting into our summer flow, hopefully we can return back to doing some really cool Let's Plays and stuff like that for Koppai. But 30 episodes in, we ain't stopping. We ain't done yet. 100,000 subscribers by episode 100, and we'll also have Bill Trinan on that episode. Be sure to rate us on iTunes and SoundCloud with 5 stars if you want that to happen, and also subscribe on YouTube, as well as share all the snippets and all that good stuff. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, you have Pokemon Go open on your phone?
It's phone? Charging because...
it sucks your battery.
Yeah, it sucks my battery, and we went on our Poke Walk this morning, hit up all the stops around Gianni Park, went around the loop a couple times because I was like... dangerously low on Pokeballs. I had like 6 left or something like that, and so now I'm up to like 50 some. So yeah, that's been like my biggest problem in the game is like staying stocked up on Pokeballs because of
Same
how.
here.
Seriously though, because you have like Pokestops every 5 steps from you.
No, man, dude, I have 3 in this park, but I mean,
Yeah.
those take a while to refresh.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's ones, I mean, I don't know, there's some here, but I mean, in the mall, for example, it's just so glitchy, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so much bandwidth being taken up at the Mall of America.
I hate it when you go to a Pokestop and it's like try again later, and then it just like it forces you to just keep saying try again later, even though you know it's like it should work. For some reason, it bugs out or something. Once it says that, it just will not give it up for a while, and it's like, all right, fine. I walked all the way to the stop, and
the worst was, and we'll get to Pokemon Go as a separate snippet. This is just kind of still in house cleaning.
Yeah.
But the worst was I found a Bulbasaur.
Oh.
And I ran out of Pokeballs on him, and then I walked to a nearest park to get more Pokeballs. And like there's glitches like that were happening, and I was just so anxious. Like I got to get back before he runs away. My wife caught him immediately and was like, "Oh, cute," and she nicknamed him Turtle right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like he's not even a turtle. Squirtle's a turtle. But So yeah, we're, I would have had it. The server's been crap for me today, which actually leads us. Let me write down a little time code here. 7 minutes 30 to the first topic of the show. Straight into it. 7 minutes into the podcast. Actually, 6 minutes for the listeners because, well, you know, science. But the first question of the show is: Pokemon Go too big? Here's the things we're going to discuss in this topic for those of you that are tuning in maybe to this snippet or just wondering what's ahead of you. We're 1 week in. There's lots of other countries coming. It's the biggest mobile game in history. There's lots of time being spent with it. People are quitting their jobs. There's sponsorships coming, and servers are getting overloaded. It's so big. And so the question is also included in this. You got these little girls around playing it. Yo, little girl, you ain't heard of anyone. You haven't heard of Pokemon. You got these jocks and these disco jockeys playing, and it's like, yo, you guys don't even know what a Mankey from a monkey. Like, there's the question we're going to discuss in this, the whole concept of people, the hipster mentality of I was into Pokemon before everyone else was. Is this okay? Is this cool? Should people that aren't into Pokemon stop playing? And some of the people may be like having obvious answers. But we'll talk about that all in this. But I think the first things first is that, we're 1 week in. It rolled out to 26 extra countries. 26, right?
Yep.
Yesterday morning. Still a no-show in Japan due to the servers being crazy. I don't think Canada has it yet, so sorry, Hayden Gaming.
Yeah.
You haven't got yours yet. But basically the rest of the UK and Europe and all of that, over there.
Just really strange, though, that it's not out in Japan yet. It's like, I mean, it's got to be out for maybe the Nintendo development staff and stuff. It's like everybody's over there, so is Mr. Miyamoto playing? Like, he seemed to really enjoy the game. It's not rolled out in his country yet, so, like, all these, I mean, Pokemon's arguably the biggest in Japan, so it's kind of just surprising that it wasn't one of the first places, if not the very first place, that they would push the game out. So, well,
Pikachu literally means Pikachu in Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you need to know right there.
I mean,
Pikachu is Japanese for Pikachu.
Well, all of the regions that are based off of Japanese, like regions really, for the most part.
Like Alola and Unova.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah. But, I mean, just Pokemon in Japan, Japan is the home of Pokemon, so it's just a little strange that it's still not out in Japan. I feel sorry for those guys, because they gotta be, like, hurting real bad. For the Pokemon Go.
They haven't, like, just bootlegged it and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I was talking to Hayden Gaming, actually, on Twitter. We were making plans to get him his Lucario amiibo. One of these days you're going to get it, Hayden. And we were making plans for him to get that. And I smell like smoke in the apartment. Hopefully, I don't know.
It's going to burn down while we're recording Koppai.
I'm not even paying attention, because I'm facing my desk at my little corner cubicle.
You're just like, I gotta keep recording!
Yeah.
I can't evacuate!
But no. What was I saying? Oh, I was talking to Hayden, and he said that he downloaded I think just the American version or something. You know how you can do that with Android phones, or if you try hard enough, you can on an iPhone as well.
Uh-huh.
But he said that he had read somewhere or heard in Canada that if you do that, you'll get banned.
No.
And so be safe out there, but I think you can go ahead and try it and be
I think
safe.
that has been debunked.
Worst case scenario, they ban your Google account and you can just make a trainer club or vice versa. So go ahead and try it. It's really fun.
But I think a warning, there has been no confirmed cases at all of that happening. I think it's just been a lot of confusion with the server being so messed up, and if you're trying to use the Pokemon Trainers Club, I know that has been a little more wonky than the Google account. So I think there's just been a little bit of misinformation flying out. Well, for one, they've just basically said nothing about how to play the game or what the game, except you just throw Pokeballs at Pokemon. There's hardly any instructionals, so there's just a lot of rumors, a lot of misinformation flying around about Pokemon Go. So I think that the rumors of being banned are disconfirmed, and I think that the majority consensus is that if Niantic was actually doing that, it wouldn't be a very good look for them to ban people that will be playing it in a few days anyway. I think that the biggest issue with that, if you're in a country that's not released in and you happen to have downloaded it and are playing, is that you're part of the problem of the server overload. It's like you need to maybe be patient in that regard, but if you can't be patient, which is really hard, but just keep in mind that that's part of playing into the server issues. Don't complain, because I heard about one group that was in a country where it's not released yet, and they were all standing around some Pokestop, and they were complaining about the servers, and somebody walked up and was like, hey, you guys realize, it's not even out in this country yet. You guys are part of the problem.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, I guess that's kind of true. And so, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about, I live in Minneapolis, so I go to the Mall of America quite frequently, and that place, you talk about the whole try again later. If you have the patience for it, it's an awesome place to catch Pokemon. Lots of cool rare ones there, lots and lots of Pokestops, a couple gyms, I think. Yeah. I caught a Jigglypuff, a Geodude. There was a Lapras that was there.
Oh man!
And Michaela, my wife, was walking around, and when she was waiting for me, because I work there also at the mall. Well, I did work there. I'll be leaving there soon. And she was walking around waiting for me to get off work, and she was like, "I saw this big blue guy." And he was so intimidating. He was just standing there, stopping my path. And she's like, and I tried to catch him, and then he disappeared. The phone glitched out, or he ran away or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it must be a Snorlax. It's got to be a Snorlax. If it's a big blue guy. And then she was showing me her Pokedex, and she's like, that's the silhouette of the one I'm missing. And I'm like, no freaking way. And then I saw that there was one, I think on my nearby radar, but it's just so tricky in the mall. Because the thing is, the mall is classified as one location, I think, on a GPS. And so even if you walk around the mall, your character is just so confused. He's like, I don't know what street you're on. I don't know where you are. And so
I also heard that the 3 steps thing is glitched out at the moment, and that it's not really accurately doing that. And I've kind of been having issues with that the past few days, where everything constantly says it's 3 feet away, or things will just be popping up when it didn't even recognize on the radar and stuff. So it's I think that with all the server issues and the crazy rollout, it's kind of glitching out other parts of the game too.
Yeah, I hope they fix that. I hope they change that, because in the initial trailer for the game, I rewatched that yesterday, last night, along with all that new Star Wars information. But new snippet, just spontaneous Star Wars snippet. But no, I was watching. I was just kind of on a YouTube binge last night after being so busy with moving in, trying to catch up on some media stuff. And Pokemon Go, the trailer was just recommended, so I watched that again. And it was interesting how in that trailer they have it's not 3 steps, it's not 2 steps, it is Pikachu is 22 meters that way, And I wish they would do something like that. I feel like it wouldn't be too hard with how they do count meters and stuff.
I don't know if you've tried Ingress at all yet, but Ingress has a really nice way that it actually the Pokestops that are near me, it'll have 680 meters to the Trails and Rails versus 710 meters to the Yanni Park. So nice. It's where I'm at. So I can I'm basically equal distance between the two, but it's that Trails and Rails is just slightly closer. So that's really nice to know, and
Yeah.
and also it shows like for sure where you're gonna go and find some of their little XM or whatever it is that you collect. It's like
Mhm.
you can kind of use that to get an idea of maybe where a Pokemon will be because it kind of ties in. They take from Ingress. So I have opened up the app and seen like there's large conglomerations or whatever of XM on these certain blocks, and so if you walk that way, most likely you'll get a Pokemon that will show
Nice.
up.
I'm gonna download Ingress and see if I can find like any nearby kind of
Yeah.
spawn point.
What it also is
cluster.
really nice is that it gives you access to the Ingress Intel map, which is like the whole world, and you can click on a city and see where all the Pokestops are and kind of plan, where you might want to go check out and stuff like that. So that's
Nice.
really nice. I think they're working on some independent or third, party ones of Pokemon Go where everybody's
Yeah, well,
like,
Yelp has that's not in our notes here, but Yelp has also announced that they're like partnering with Pokemon Go. So like if you have a Yelp review now, it'll also be like, by the way, 3 Pokestops located at this local business, which
yeah.
we kind of have in here. Pokemon is going to be getting sponsorships, and I think this is kind of a cluster of news here and stuff. But yeah, well, real quick, yeah. So we're 1 weekend, still not out in those other places. The server overload is a huge problem. It's been super inconsistent this weekend with the launch of 26 other countries. I mean, sure, it's back online, but it hasn't been nearly as good as it was like Friday, for example. Friday they had it like perfected. It was almost no load, almost no like try again later or have to crash the app.
I heard that they were actually getting a DDoS attack on that day that it rolled out in 26 other countries. I don't know if that was just because of that. It was like some rumors, but I thought that I'd heard from it was a pretty credible source that it actually wasn't because of the 26 country rollout, but that actually they were getting an attack. I think that some hacker group had actually claimed responsibility for it, which is why it was like a little bit more credible of a source. That an actual like tweet or something from a hacking group came out and was like, yep, we're the ones that are taking down the servers. And
well, maybe though. I mean, you're a hacker group that wants to get noticed.
That's what I also considered too. It could have just been that the servers were down and they're like, hey, yeah, we did that. And, but yep, it seems like
either way, if it was a real hacker group, you guys are stupid. Just I don't get that. Like, there's been like other stuff going on in the city, like people doing things, and it's just like, everyone, just don't interfere with other people's lives. Just let us play our game.
Yeah.
I don't know what person's sitting there like and hears of all the fun people are having with Pokemon Go, and he's like, I'm gonna ruin everyone's day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when you're so anonymous about it. Like, I just don't. I mean, I don't understand what like the mental sort of satisfaction you would get from that. But yeah, so servers really need to be improved. Hopefully, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, darn it, why would you launch in 26 other countries when your servers are finally good? But now it gives them another step back. Like, hopefully it'll be this whole thing of, as they launch these servers, it'll be 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And in a month or so, it'll be, it'll
probably be
launched
perfect
everywhere. Everywhere, and then we'll get Generation 2.
Yeah, and it will also have probably died down a bit in a month where it's not quite as overload on the servers, where, everybody's playing. I'm sure that people are going to be starting to catch them all by the month period, and like I see some people just absolutely going crazy catching every single, like they have almost their entire Pokedex filled up except for the legendaries, and so... I'm not even anywhere close to that because I'm just kind of playing at, my leisurely pace. I go for my daily walks and I play then, like when I'm going to go out and feel like getting some exercise and some fresh air, that's when I go play. I'm trying to not just overload on the game where I'm going to beat it in like 2 weeks. I don't like that kind of way of playing a game. So, it's...
Yeah, and like I want to play it, I think, the way it's supposed to be played. I think it makes for an awesome experience that you can share with people, like, what you've done. Like, well, we explored this new area in town today because we were going and playing Pokemon, and we caught this guy here, and, like, it's fun to, like, get pictures, like, when it's, like, memorable places. Like, I sent you that picture of Pidgey on the Forrest Gump stool that's in the Mall of America, or the bench and stuff, and it's just, like, that kind of makes for some cool moments and stuff, where it's like, oh, I didn't even realize there was a bench there, and I've been to the Mall of America hundreds of times, and it's like, I didn't realize that they had the actual bench there. Like, you just walk by it every day.
Yeah.
And it's cool for little moments like that of discovery, and if you just play it for the sake of just going around and catching Pokemon, like, at that point, just buy a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why have the go part of it if you're just trying to fill up your Pokedex? It's about the going and exploring.
Yeah.
That being said, iOS users are spending more time with it, with Pokemon Go than Facebook. Someone actually quit their job to go Pokemon Go full time, which actually I would not be surprised if they made some money in that.
Yep, they got pretty famous actually from all the attention for making the press from having quit their job. It's like now they're getting a ton of attention. People are recognizing them in the street. It seems like basically they were financially stable enough from their job to just kind of go traveling for a little bit and use Pokemon Go as kind of the story to go along with it.
Are they just planning on selling their Pokemon like when trading comes out, or are
I'm
they?
not sure. They said they'd had like 91 or something of the Pokemon so far, so they're just planning on going around catching Pokemon full time.
Yeah. Yeah, Pokemon Go is also set. I mean, speaking of money and making money off of Pokemon Go, it's set to have sponsored locations. Rumor has it that from a credible source that McDonald's will be one of the first partners. Yeah, and you put in here, I think in the notes that like Subway would be a good option for like a healthy alternative. Yeah, I can imagine like GameStop's being a huge one where it's like.
Yeah, that's what I assumed it would be GameStop, places like that. But
yeah, just this whole idea. I mean, we've seen it because like I mentioned, I've been working at the Starbucks here in the Mall of America. We've noticed a huge boom in business from people because we have a Pokestop right outside our door. And people just hang out there, and they're like, hey, let's go get a drink real quick. And they just walk in and grab a drink, and then they go back and go catch more Pokemon. And it's just, I bet businesses got phone calls asking if they wanted to be a Pokestop. And I bet there was business owners that were like, pish posh, like, no. I don't want kids hanging out here. And then it actually launched and became the biggest thing in the world. And they're probably regretting it so much, calling up like Niantic, like, please, make our business a Pokestop. But yeah, and the last thing on our notes here before we kind of get into the generic topic of just is Pokemon Go getting too big. It's just like what our impressions of the game are. And personally, I mean, besides the server, that's my biggest complaint with the game is just the server overload. Besides that, I'm surprised that I'm still loving the game. And it's like a traditional game where you feel like you have a sense of progression. Like, it just feels like a different game than when I started. Like, I still get my Pidgeys and stuff, but now there's a whole new meta game of, okay, now I need to start gathering to evolve. I do need to start gathering to train. I really need to start training up a team so I can have consistent gyms being taken over, and I also need to have a team that's strong enough to not only capture a gym, but then raise the prestige high enough so I can like get other people in there. I need to start. I mean, there's just like all these other things where it's like now that I'm at this higher level, because I'm a sliver away from level 16, and I also have about like 20 Pidgeys set to evolve, and I have a Lucky Egg being stored right now. And so once I use the Lucky Egg, get double XP and evolve, I think I have like 10 or so Pidgeys. I have 5 Rattatas. And then I have like one of like all these other Pokemon set to evolve with this Lucky Egg. And so I'm probably going to shoot from level like 16 to 17 or 18 once that happens.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting in the higher levels here now. And yeah, there's just like a whole new metagame. And then once that all gets done, like it's my wife and I were talking like, is this going to be a passing fad? And surely it will. The mass hysteria it has is surely going to die down. But at the same time, like, this game does have some longevity to it. That's that whole Animal Crossing sort of thing, like, where you can't do it, like, all day and, like, just beat it in one day. Like, you have to walk, you have to wait.
Yeah.
Some Pokemon are on timers and are only there at night. Like, there's this whole mentality of just, like, you can't beat it in a day and can't build up your, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't build up your Pokedex in one day.
And all the medals that you have to earn, too, which...
Yeah.
I wish that those gave you XP if you, like, got the gold medal or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they give you, like, no perks or anything. But it is still nice, like, to kind of gather it up.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to add, though, is just also you have legendaries coming. Surely other generations are coming. Like, when they can.
Yeah, they really need to do that because that's, like, a guaranteed way to keep the game interesting, keep it going. And they have, like, such a vault of Pokemon that they can roll out. Even if they... added what if they did 50 at a time or something like that? That would.
Well, I think even if they did like a generation every biannually, so it's this holiday season with the launch of Pokemon Sun and Moon, you also get Gold and Silver on Pokemon Go, and That way, like when it's snowing and it's colder outside, there's a whole new reason to go out and hunt for new Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then do another one like at the 1 year anniversary, you know, like 6 months,
Yeah.
6 months, 6 months, 6 months. And that
Even if
way,
they did it though, think if they did it as like 50 at a time rollouts, then it would make it extend for years and years to come. If they did it biannually of a whole generation, then if by this, fall we'd have, another, and then the next summer we'd have this generation, it seems like maybe too quick of a rollout, perhaps,
that would
unless
still
they
be,
did it annually.
maybe 2 or 3 years. So because there's
That's
like what
true. Yeah,
7
that's true.
generations,
Yeah,
8
yeah.
generations now.
hmm
And so yeah, that'd be 4 years, which is
But
long for a game.
one generation like didn't add any new Pokemon, isn't that right? Wasn't there a
I don't
generation?
think so.
No, every generation has had new Pokemon.
Yeah, I just think Black and White 2 didn't. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. That sounds right, I guess.
I think X and Y only added like 80 or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it added too many.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then we're also gonna be getting another generation, with
Yeah, it's true.
Sun and Moon. So I mean, they could do biannually and still get out 4 years, which is long for a game, especially
that's
long
true.
for a mobile
Yeah,
game.
you're right. Yeah, it's
Um,
not too bad. Because it's when you think if they did want to extend it like over 10 years, they could. But I mean, who's going to be interested in Pokemon Go in 10 years? So they may as well do something like that.
Yeah, I think they just need to like pound this and just let it go. I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
and I think a yearly would be way too long for.
Well, also, if you're playing the game perhaps a little bit slower, not as crazy as some, you could get to the point where that now your Pokedex, you've caught 100 out of 500 Pokemon because either you're just now getting into the game, perhaps, and now it's like been so many years. It's kind of like when you get into an MMO or something, now that all of the expansions are out, it's like there's going to be so much to do, and maybe you didn't play the game as crazy, so you still aren't all caught up on Gen 1 and Gen 2 before Gen 3 comes, things like that, where I would think that a lot of people, actually probably a majority of people, would still be in that kind of boat versus the people that have been out from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., farming all the Pokestops and catching every single thing that they can and spoofing their GPS so that they're not even actually.
Quit doing that. Quit doing that.
Quit.
If you're sitting here listening to Koppai spoofing your GPS, like
throw
your phone,
clicking where you want to walk. Yeah.
Just sitting like on your couch, just tap 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 tap. Oh man, it'd be so stupid.
They just sat up straight when they heard us call them out. They're like, "Oh crap!"
They go out for a walk. Oh man, but no, yeah. The other thing, though, the closing note on this topic is just the whole concept of like you have old people playing this game, you have jocks playing this game, you have people that don't know a Pikachu from a Pokemon, like they don't. Like they don't know what the game is, but they're playing it because some people are playing it because it's a fad, some people are playing it because it's fun, some people are playing it because they love Pokemon. And I think the message to all of them is my big thing is like, we kind of talked about it where it's just like, man, shut up. Like, you don't know Pokemon.
Yeah.
You weren't there when it was being announced and like, where were you and stuff. At the same time, like you look at the games of Pokemon and Inside the World, and when you walk on Route 1, there's youngster Todd, and then there's Jock Billy, and then there's schoolgirl Ann, and there's construction worker Billy, and like there's, even in the world of Pokemon, they like really emphasize this whole diversity of people. And I think it kind of makes it more immersive. That's just like, yeah, like if the Pokemon were real, you would see all these people out there playing the game, and they would be holding their Pokeballs, and they'd have their little Pokebelts, and be walking around and filling up Pokedexes and all of that. And it's just, I think to me it makes it more immersive. And yeah, you have those jerks out there, like you said, you ran into some people that were like telling people to leave a Pokestop because they had it, like they put the lure module down there. They were the ones that had claimed the area. I read another story, I think somewhere here in Minneapolis, that people had spray painted like Team Mystic on a park sign, like this area is claimed by Team Mystic, and it's like, all right.
That's my biggest beef, I guess, with those people that are like kind of the bandwagon people that seem to maybe disrespect a bit and like aren't even being considerate. Like some people, it's like I've heard this comment that you really kind of see the worst of people with things like this. Like it brings some of that out when a fad is like this big or something gets this big. It's like there's just some of those people that are like the people that are at 1:30 in the morning in somebody's yard talking loudly, and he comes out with his gun. It's like, why were you guys even in his yard to begin with at 1:30 in the morning? Use some common sense. The girl that walked across the street and got hit by a car and her mom was all upset blaming it's that damn game. It's like like it's people are just being idiots. People that fell off the cliff, and like, come on, people, or people that are
fell off the cliff.
Yeah, some people are like literally parking their cars in the middle of the street and running out of their car to go catch a Pokemon, and it's like, you cannot do that. You can't do that. Or that guy that like completely totaled his car into the tree playing Pokemon Go. It's like, some of these people are just, and like, not looking where you're going, walking in like large groups, blocking the path.
My wife and I were wondering, like, I don't know how you don't look up from your phone. Like,
I know.
If you put it at your side and it vibrates when a Pokemon's nearby, there's no reason to look at it all the time. Put it in low battery mode and keep walking. Although I've run into issues with low battery mode where like, it makes it so I can't move my character anymore. Like
I can't press buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like sometimes whenever I do that, it, for the most part, doesn't let me like touch my buttons anymore once it comes back from the dim screen and stuff. So I haven't been using that, unfortunately, which really is a cool mode. Like, if it works, I think it's worked maybe once or twice for me, but the majority just doesn't.
I did hear though that if you download your Google Maps, the Google engineer said it doesn't work. But I've heard in response to the Google engineer saying downloading Google Maps doesn't work, I've heard other people just say like, no, it does.
Yeah.
If you download Google Maps like as an app or something, you can also you can save your local map, and I'm gonna try that today and see if it reduces battery life or data consumption or anything like that.
Yeah.
So let people play the game, but also be cool. Don't be that guy that's just so immersed in the game that you're not even like being part of the experience. I want Pokemon Go to stay big. I'm not one of those hipster Nintendo people that's like, save this for the nerds, save this for the diehards. Like, no, I'm so glad to see everyone enjoying it.
Yeah.
I point out to my wife, we saw someone today at Chipotle, they were playing it, and I point out to her, like, that person over there is playing it, that person over there is playing it. Like, look at all these people playing it. Like, everywhere you go, you see someone playing it. Yeah. People come to line at Starbucks, and they're all looking at their phones, and you can tell if they're playing, if they're swiping their thumb up to throw the Pokeballs, you know, and it was just so weird to hear, like, this group of girls all talking. They're like, I think I can have enough candies right now to evolve my Pidgey, and if I evolve my Pidgey, it goes into Pidgeotto. I'm like, they know what a Pidgeotto is. Like, I mean, it's so weird to hear that being, like, common vocabulary and common dialogue to people planning out their attack plans with Pokemon. When
what's so crazy is, like, just not even all the people playing, but how it's gotten, like, my wife to now, like, she never knew what Pokemon really was. I mean, she knew Pokemon, she knew Pikachu, you know, maybe Charmander or something like that, but now she's like playing the trading card game, now she's watching the TV show with me, now she knows like all of these references to different things, like the Poke Rap and, you know, all the, like, she knows who Ash Ketchum is, and, you know, these things that a lot of people are finally being introduced to a really cool universe that they may have thought was childish or stupid before, and now they're realizing, like, hey, it's actually pretty cool, and there's some fun stuff in here, and, like, it's actually kind of silly in some ways and funny for, like,
I keep trying
all
to
ages.
convince my wife to watch the TV show because she loves, like, Disney.
Yeah.
She loves Pixar and animation, and she also loves, like, puns and clever little things like that, and there's, like, that's Pokemon. It's animation and puns and the game. Like, it's perfect.
Kayla and I are laughing all the time when we watch the show. Like, we just watched that Metapod one.
The stare off.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the trading card game, but I don't have my iPad charger right now, so I need to get that. But just dropped my keys. But yeah, so that's that. Be cool to people and enjoy the game, and hopefully we get those server updates. Be sure to leave your comments down below on whether or not you think Pokemon Go's too big, what you think the future of it is, how you'd like to see updates roll out, what you want to see come to the game, all of that good stuff. Longer topic of the show, but that's the way we roll. Moving on. Speaking of Pokemon, will Pokemon Sun and Moon be the best Pokemon game ever?
Yes.
They had a new trailer come out that was absolutely awesome. Some quick notes from the trailer that someone provided in the comment section is that the bottom screen has now been revealed. It looks a lot like the Heart Gold Soul Silver with the menu and all that. There is a new trading screen as well. Looks much more dynamic. So that's really cool. Trading has been awesome. They really improved that. Excuse me. In X and Y, where you could do certain things like kind of like conditions and all of that, like trade it if you bring me this and all of, so like requesting this Pokemon and things like that. And so X and Y was very streamlined. There's now a thing called bracelets. Looks kind of like the synergy stones that we've seen with Ash Ketchum and his Greninja, that we saw in the Japanese logo of the game, and this whole concept of what we see in Pokken Tournament, where you have your synergy bracelets that you can kind of use to almost like evolve your Pokemon or get them to be like a synergy burst and things like that. Definitely kind of supporting that whole idea of the Pokemon being connected to you. Also, not really completely understood within the context of the Japanese trailer, but there's like these new poses.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of the synergy sort of pose like that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the fusion in Dragon Ball Z or whatever, the little dance they do.
Yeah, but it's super weird in this context because your trainer is just going weird. But it goes back to the whole point that you're really able to customize your trainer, and they really want to focus on that connection. Like your trainers are being displayed in the battle screen now. You can do all this. Like X and Y kind of have that too, and especially Black and White too. This whole they're really moving in that direction. That Pokemon are really connected to you. I think a lot in response to the whole idea that it's this kind of like this dog fighting game. It seems like they really want to drive home the friendship aspect of it, that these Pokemon are pretty happy to be fighting with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been since Red and Blue. I mean, Team Rocket.
But N in Pokemon Black and White, like the N protagonist, and I think his whole thing was that he didn't realize how you could abuse Pokemon the way you do. Did he like kidnap someone's Pokemon or something? Like, because he was like, you don't get it, you don't deserve to have this.
Yeah.
And then in X and Y, the whole plot line is like Flair's trying to like kill everyone in the world because they're like, you guys are so mean and ugly to Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so, beyond that, I think, oh, my mouse just died. Hey. Oh, I can't read the other points. No. Pokemon Ami is confirmed to return. There's more riding of Pokemon, and you'll be able to take off hats. So
the riding, like the little clips they showed of like you were on a Lapras and then you were on like a Tauros, it looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like I hope that maybe I don't know if like it's probably I guess in X and Y they had those moments where I think you got on like a ride-on or something.
Yeah.
And like rode it. And wasn't it like already there in the location? I bet it's probably something like that, but it'd be kind of cool if they actually made like a Gyarados sort of sprite and maybe like what else is something like a Meryl that you could float on, or just all the different kinds, which would be a lot of work. So I really highly doubt that, but it just seemed like there's at least
some of these Pokemon that for some reason can have swim. But they're like your Magikarp can learn swim, but I don't know how you'd like grip your thighs around the Magikarp.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I don't know if that's. But I bet it's just gonna be even more of what they had in Pokemon X and Y, where it's just this whole like these pre-designated areas, which are still super cool and immersive, and it's just like makes the world seem more alive when you actually have them out there. The other they have a steel book that they have now in North America for Pokemon Sun and Moon. We have ours pre-ordered. The bummer or awesome part about it is that it does come with both games.
Yeah.
And so hopefully maybe I can get my wife into that game so when I have both, she can play one, I can play the other.
Yeah.
Darkrai is confirmed for Pokemon Tournament right now just for the arcade. And then there's a rumor right now that the live action movie may be back in the works because of the success of Pokemon Go. But with Pokemon Sun and Moon being the best Pokemon game, the topic of this snippet and discussion of the show. We saw it with the E3 demo that there's like these information things now that it's so intuitive to see what moves are super effective. And we've also seen like all these new announcements and stuff. It just seems like X and Y was the best at the time. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were kind of good, but also a step back because they took away a lot of the features to make it more true to Ruby and Sapphire.
Right.
This seems to kind of be like more of the sequel to X and Y, which they were just so awesome, but now it's just refining on that in every way, to be almost like the Black and White 2 to the Black and White, if X and Y is Black and White.
Yeah.
It seems like, obviously, the question may be silly and redundant, like, will this be the best one? Obviously it will be because it's the latest one. But there's some people, I guess, that would say that, like, the Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the best because the features in there and the...
Well, like, I would argue, like, really X and Y, like you say, how it was the best when it came out. I feel like that was largely because of the new engine, the new battle, like, engine being finally 3D, which we'd waited for a long time. We haven't had a stadium type game in a really long time, and now actually it was like the games became the Pokemon Stadium itself, kind of thing, in a way, where now in the actual game itself you get to have that experience of fighting your Pokemon in 3D, and so that was really, like, the story wise and all of that, it was like X and Y I could care less about.
Yeah.
And I would say the engine and the metagame, how the player search system was probably, like, what made that, it was what gave it that credibility to be the best one yet. Otherwise, I hand it to Black 2, White 2.
That's true, yeah.
Those games, I still hold those so fondly. Yeah, I miss my Avenue, and, like, customizing that and how big the world was and how returning back and how just, like, long it was. I remember, like, you and I, we would talk back and forth of, like, I'm on this city now, I've been playing for like 70 hours and I still have like 10 cities left to even visit and touch. It was like huge game, and then the post game was still huge. I haven't even, I don't think, completely beaten it yet because
you go on like certain routes and stuff, and like End's workers still pop up, like those shadow guys.
Yeah, and they're like,
time for a Pokemon battle, and it's like, wait, what? Like they have like their whole lines of dialogue, like,
and they're like level 85 and stuff, and it's like, wait, what? Crap. It's like you're like 10 times higher than the Elite Four were, and like I'm not gonna beat this for a while. I need to go train, So it was like really, really lengthy, and like the medals, the awards for doing little accomplishments. There was like a little trophy system in the game. It was just super fleshed out. There was a lot of things that just made it easier for you as a player. It just seemed so modern. It seemed so like tailored towards hardcore fans who had been playing and bought every single game, every generation, to keep it more fresh for everybody. And I feel like X and Y was definitely a bit of a step back from that, just due to how much time, effort they had to put into that. Yeah, so I feel like with the engine and the metagame of X and Y, plus being able to flesh it out so much more in the vein of Black 2, White 2, that this has to be, plus all of the features that it seems like like I say, they flesh it out. So we have the new super effective, we have the new quick ways to view what your move does, we have the new battle system of 4 players against each other, we have all these things returning. I think that, and just like the region looks beautiful, it looks big, it looks expansive. The new Pokemon all look, even I would say, better than they did in Black and White. Black and White, and X and Y I think it was a little bit of a step up from Black and White's generation. Even though I came to really enjoy Black and White's Pokemon, I feel like this generation's Pokemon actually is better than both X and Y and Black. Like, it's the best generation of new Pokemon I'd say we've maybe had since Gold and Silver and Crystal. So, like, so far I'm super impressed with all the Pokemon I've seen. I'm excited to see new ones. I'm excited to see what the final evolutions are. So just everything about this game, my hype was already really high, and then after seeing this new trailer too, which is like, it didn't give too much new information out, like we went through the things, but it didn't like show a lot of new Pokemon or a lot of what the region is and the story, but it's just such a beautifully put together trailer, kind of mixing the going outside and spending time in nature and finding bugs and bonding with your family at the same time, having Pokemon there on the side, like, to bond with at the same time, which is just a really cool concept. It's really well put together. The timing of, like, the music and the, like, catching the balls and all of the things is really well put together. So go check that out. I think it's on the Japanese Pokemon channel. I don't think that there is a English version of it out yet or anything, but
yeah, weird.
It doesn't really matter because it's not like they're speaking Japanese a lot. It's basically just I think that even the music in the trailer is English, perhaps. It's like, just a music trailer showing new features of this game, showing the fun of it, and it's just really cool. So check that out.
Yeah, and leave your comments down below, like what your kind of hype level is, what Pokemon game you think has been the best so far. Try to leave nostalgia out of it, because, I mean, everyone would probably be like, oh, red and blue, but, I mean, based on features and based on gameplay.
But I gotta maybe point that out, too, that one of the reasons maybe my hype is so through the roof is because also I've been finishing my Nuzlocke of Pokemon Red, and I've been playing so much Red and grinding in that game that every time I see clips now in photos and even like think about going to maybe play some of Alpha Sapphire or something, it's like, oh my god, I cannot wait to get back to like the modern Pokemon game of it looking all colorful and 3D and everything.
Or even the XP share, like how, like at first you and I were both like, that takes away the heart of the game, and it's like, no, it just speeds up what you're already doing.
Yeah.
It makes it so you can focus on actually battling instead of like
breeding and all these things that are like absent from Pokemon Red. I've been getting, it's almost like I felt like if you just start watching black and white movies from the 40s or something for a really, really long time, and then all of a sudden you see
that Rogue One trailer.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go back to some modern movies and stuff. So I think that if you have gone back since the 20th anniversary and gotten those Virtual Console Pokemon games and played through them, I think especially Red and Blue, it just makes the experience of the new game even better. So.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, leave yours down below what you think is the best Pokemon game. The hype is to the roof. I'm so excited for the Steelbooks. I love when I get my hands on a Steelbook and those just look awesome. And I'm a little bummed that I won't have both boxes on my desk, but at the same time, just having a Steelbook of like one of the most definitive Pokemon games sounds really exciting to me, I think.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they're still available for pre-order, if they got snatched up or what, but you'll have to go check those out.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did make a pretty good like pre-order quantity that you're allowed to pre-order. I don't know. It just seems like Pokemon are always a little bit better at getting like quantity, since they're kind of a like.
Well, the Pokemon Go wristbands sold out, so
yeah, that's true.
But they didn't. That's the different and the whole story together. They had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea that was going to be as big as it was. Moving on. Topic number C. The NES Mini and the Nintendo NX plans.
Hashtag Zach
was right. Head back to our E3 predictions episode. Go to about 53 or 58 minutes in. Zach says, coming this year, NES Mini looking sleek. And it's actually really eerie how close you are to getting it completely right.
Yeah. Here's my wacky theory.
Okay, hit me with it. Talk to me.
The NES re-release, looking slick. All of their consoles re-release.
They're NES back Slim, or GameCube Slim, N64,
something like that. The slim line of them, or like a fusion console of all their old consoles.
Here it is.
They're re-releasing all the old games.
The N64K. You're like, it's gonna be they're gonna pull it out and they're gonna hold it on their hands. It's like, that's it. Coming this year, the NES Mini on November 11th, 11/11/16. 30 games, $60, fits in your hands, uses the classic controller output, but it can be used with NES-style controllers that will come in the box. These can also be used on the Wii U Virtual Console for NES games, which I want the controller more than anything else. Looks super slick, especially with like the new Vans that they have, like the clothing line they have, really pushing this retro thing. Nintendo's kind of going back to that retro red style, their old logo. They're going back to their kind of like old school programs, like with Play Nintendo and Nintendo Minute. It seems to have like a retro feel. Seems like they're really embracing the nostalgia side of things even with Pokemon Go and Pokemon Sun and Moon, like just all these classic like first gen Pokemon and first gen advertising. Just really the whole company seems to be kind of looking backwards instead of.
It would be it would be crazy if for the NX they announced like, instead of a new Super Mario Bros. Or something like that, they actually do a sprite-based, going back to like Super Mario World, like just hitting you in the nostalgia go even if they did it like in a Super Mario Bros. Like an NES new Mario where they did it more Shovel Knight-y, where they kind of use a lot of the nostalgia but also bring it up into some things that they couldn't do back then. I think that would freak a lot of people out more so than the new Super Mario Bros.
I'm wondering, with these outputs being with these controllers, do you think that'll be the output for the NX? Do you think that's
yeah?
Do you think that's what our outputs are going to look like, or do you think it's going to be more
That
USB based? Or, I mean, I don't know. Are Xbox One controllers USB? I know PS4 are.
I think that they are. I think they're USB. I know I have an Xbox 360 controller, and that's USB.
But that's USB, and it plugs into. Doesn't it like plug into like an like a circle adapter thingy though? Like to have it. I don't know. There's like weird things like that with the Xbox. They used to have like circles and all of that, and they had like USB.
It's definitely a good point, because you would assume that they would want these kind of special controllers that they keep releasing to still, work in a year on the NX when everybody buys that. So at least it would have to have a port for it on.
It makes me think maybe they're designing all these NXs and they're manufacturing them.
But really,
and they have this technology for these little outputs and stuff. They look pretty small.
Most likely, I would actually say the NX most likely has no outputs, maybe USB inputs on the device itself. It's probably all wireless because of the the gamepad's wireless and the Wiimotes are wireless. If anything, the NX probably works with Wiimotes, which then you hook the classic NES virtual classic controller thing into the Wiimote, which then syncs up to the NX and works that way. I would assume it's most likely that situation, and that would make it a lot easier to just use all those controllers on the NX. And so,
my theory is that the NX is going to have these classic controller outputs and inputs, and you're going to plug in these classic controllers, or you can plug in your classic controller, like your whatever controller you want, your Wiimote controllers, if you want the physical one.
Yeah. And
then, like you said, I think it's going to be a little bit of both, though.
I do think we should maybe mention they are selling the NES controller separate for $10.
Amazing deal.
I'm really excited to just play all those NES games on my Wii U using that NES controller. That'll be really cool too.
I'm going to take 20. I'm taking 20. No, I think it's also just worth noting that $60 for 30 games, that's $2 a game. A lot of these games going for about $4 or $5 on the Wii U Virtual Console. So getting this as a bundle is an awesome deal. Plus, just to have the decoration that is the NES Mini. It looks so true to form. Very tiny for your living room, so it's not going to take up a lot of space. I'm definitely hoping to pick one up. I don't know if pre-orders are up on Amazon, but definitely would like one. And I think it's just, like we've just said, I think the whole marketing of it, the whole branding of Nintendo nowadays, and just these little moves like this, I think it just is kind of telling to the NX plans, like what they're kind of aiming for with this next console, of being software driven, being true to their roots, being kind of back to their return to form, and nothing gimmicky, nothing too out of the ordinary that it's gonna be at the detriment of gameplay. It just seems like they really want to make it clear message, that this is gonna be an awesome new powerhouse of machine, that won't be able to go up against the Neo or the Scorpio, but it will be strong enough to kind of stand on its own in the market and really make a name for itself. Yeah. Speaking of the NX, though, real quick, Square Enix has no NX plans of Final Fantasy 15 for the NX. That news was announced this past week. And I think overall, though, hopefully we get some more details soon. We're getting closer and closer to September, which is kind of the rumored, speculated time of official announcement. That's 7 months out from March, which every major console in the past few years has been announced about 7 months out. And so that would make sense. And I can't wait. It'll be so exciting to finally talk about it and have ideas. It's kind of getting into, that's another thing with Koppai right now. It's just getting into a dry news spell where it's just all right, E3's over, and there's no NX, Pokemon Go. Yeah. It's just we're kind of hungry for more information. It's just kind of Pokemon right now with a few little tidbits of other stuff every now and then. But, that's that. But to close out the show real quick, let me write down the times. To close out the show, this past week, last week we talked about PlayStation VR. This past week I was able to try out Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive. back to back actually. And while we've been talking about the Nintendo NX and the possibility of that having virtual reality, I want to share, as we end out the show, my impressions of these new virtual reality kits. They're actually available on the market right now, so you maybe have tried them out if you are a rich person with a nice computer. And yeah, Zach, I kind of told you a little bit about it, my impressions. I thought maybe you could ask some questions that you hadn't maybe had answered yet, or maybe some questions that you wanted to reinstate for the audience that they may not have known.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could just kind of share my impressions just willy-nilly. But I thought it'd be nice for the Koppai audience to hear just impressions of Oculus Rift and VR, or HTC Vive. I was going to do them as separate snippets, but I think overall I can kind of push them together.
Well, when we talked about the PlayStation VR, I kind of wondered if Oculus Rift was kind of, since it had sort of started this whole thing and seemed to be maybe the most, like, it had a lot of developer kits out, it had a lot of feedback, it got a lot of, input from a very technical expertise, like, community of people that are like, this is what we want, this is the most, like, intense VR experience. So I wonder, it seems like kind of the king of VR, and I wanted to know if you got that impression after your Vive and Oculus and PlayStation VR. Was Oculus the best one? Or was Vive the best, or was PlayStation VR the best? I know that I kind of asked that before, and you kind of said they each had maybe their own perks.
Yeah, that's my answer is pretty complex with that. And I mean, because I think the Oculus Rift demo guy said if you had to walk out, or no, I was talking to someone, they asked the same thing, where they're like, if you had to buy one right now, which one would you buy? And I'm like, I don't know. Because here's the big thing. Oculus was the king of visuals. It was the clearest image. Vive was the king of gameplay, and PlayStation VR was the king of comfort. The thing is that Vive was the king of gameplay because it had the hand controls. Both Oculus and PlayStation VR are going to get the hand controls at launch. The PlayStation VR demo didn't have the Move controllers, and the Oculus Rift didn't have them yet. But it will by the time I would have the money to get one. So in that case, Vive was kind of out of the running in my mind because Vive had the worst visuals, I thought. And
even worse than Sony's?
Yeah, because the thing is with Vive, and I don't get it, but it has such superior motion tracking to PlayStation VR, where like it really tracks where you are in the room. If you walk up to a wall, there's a grid that pops up. And I don't know why, but in the VR experience, there's hundreds and hundreds of these little red dots. And what it looks like is like you see basically the grid, like the plane of 3D space. And at each grid point, at each unit of measurement, there's a little red dot to kind of give you a sense of perspective of where everything is in your room, which is kind of nice because it kind of gives you a sense of scale of like, okay, I know my couch is 20 dots that way.
Yeah.
But I wish you could just turn it off, and maybe they're going to have an option for that, but it was so, like, you get used to it after a while, but it honestly looks like, I thought I had a broken headset on. And I took it off, and I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. Like, I can't wait for the red dots to be gone. They're like, no, that's there. And I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have said that to me. Like, you should have been like, yeah, that sucks, and just handed it back to the demo person. Like, I'm like, oh no, you just lost my business. Like, I don't want that at all. Like, that was like, when I could get an option without it. Like, there's a little bit of a screen door effect with the PlayStation VR, but that, not red dots everywhere. And I was talking to the representative for Oculus Rift, and he's like, I don't know why they have red dots. Like, there's no reason for that. He's like, we have superior tracking technology in the Oculus Rift, and we don't need those dots. Like, it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because the Oculus Rift with motion tracking has a thing called, like, Z targeting or something, or like he said, Z measuring.
Yeah.
Where the Vive can kind of measure where your head's going, where you're walking around, but the Oculus can really measure where you kneel down to, where you crouch down to, and stuff like that. So there's like a demo in the Oculus Rift where there's a little tiny town, and you can kneel over and like look in the windows if you bend over.
Oh wow.
And it was actually really disorienting because I was like falling over in the store and I was like trying to make sure where the floor was. But it's crazy how much you can really bend over and get into stuff. Like, just, I mean,
get up in there.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you could lay down the ground with the Oculus Rift, and it would be a completely different perspective. Like you could look underneath a table in the game, which
That's
is
really
so
cool.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a demo. Well, the demo because that's the thing is the Vive was the most fun though. So I have more stories from the Vive, but that's simply because of the touch controls. With
And
the
what do you mean
Vive,
by touch controls? What do you...
touch controls, I just heard it, that's just the journalistic speak. I've heard, like, in Game Informer and stuff, touch controls are just the two handles, like two Wiimotes, two PlayStation Move controllers, like,
Okay.
they call that touch for some reason. I mean,
Yeah.
really it's just analog sticks.
Okay.
But the Vive, I mean, that's when they say a VR unit has touch controls, what I've been gathering is this basically that means it has the handles.
Okay. Because I was like, what does that mean? Like you're reaching out and it's got like things you're touching, like
yeah. Well, I mean, in the virtual reality world, that's what it is.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, okay.
Basically, gives you the ability to touch in virtual reality. And the first demo with Vive is this balloon demo where you press the button on the controller, and out of your hands in the game comes these balloons, which is super stupid.
Yeah.
Like when you think of when you tell someone else that, but it's such a good way to get you acclimated to the sense of depth in the demo because you blow up a balloon in your hand and then you can smack it. And it's just like this weird feeling of like smacking a balloon and it like bounces away and it floats so realistically. And I bent over and blew up a balloon right underneath my head and it started floating up because it's like kind of helium filled and it smacked my VR, like it smacked my face and it knew where my head was. So it bounced away from my face and then like rolled up my face and I'm just like, I'm in the store looking down at the ground like, no way! I mean, and like I did other things like where I like blew up a balloon and then grabbed it and like kind of like pinched it and it's like shot out of my hand because it was getting so much pressure and I hit a balloon into another balloon and it's just like this kind of weird sense of like just getting you acclimated to be able to hit things around. The coolest demo, which I think is on the other like the Oculus Rift and PlayStation as well, is this thing called Tilt Brush, where you basically in one hand you have a palette and the other hand you have your paintbrush.
Yeah.
And you can stick all that and you can paint. The weirdest thing though is like you can paint in the air, but it's so weird to paint in a 3D space where like I drew a smiley face and you can just turn your head and it's a completely different image because you're viewing it in a different way. And I was going crazy with it because I knew I only had like 5 minutes. So I painted these beautiful murals and I was like I wrote my name. But when I wrote my name, I was like pushing in and out of like the Z axis. So like when I turned around, it was just like a big scribble and stuff. The background image for this, actually, the snippet may be that image. Someone got a picture of me playing it, so you may see it. It may look like scribbles, but I promise you it was actually some beautiful artwork I was making. Someone in the line even said, like, this guy must have done this before, because I was just going to town on it. But it's so weird, like, I could draw a line, and then I could draw a spiral around that line, just by, like, flicking my wrist, and it was just so weird, and it felt so intuitive. But it makes me think of, like, when PlayStation VR has the Dreams game by Media Molecule, the guys that made Little Big Planet, how they have that game where you can basically form clay and make creatures and forests and stuff like that. To buy a VR unit and just spend your entire day creating inside of that is going to be so, like, and if you can share stuff like that, like here's a drawing I did in VR and someone else can just walk around it and view it, that'll be so insane. And there's some paintbrushes that, like, stuff that literally could not happen in life before, like a paintbrush of flames. So I was just painting fire in the air and the flames just stay where I painted them and it looks like fire. So I'm just like staring at these flames just floating in the air and you can draw, I mean, I did like a few swipes of an orange flame, a few swipes of a yellow flame, and then like a base of red flames. So it looked like a big campfire, and it just looked real, and there's like a glow to it. So as I walk around, there's just shadows, and
I could imagine people making complete like rooms of just like artworks. Like I was just having the thought of what they really need to do for that game is make like a museum where you upload like maybe like user rated, and then you walk through.
That's what Dreams will be on the PlayStation VR. Dreams allows you to make like forests. You can make mountains and levels.
But what would be cool is even if that game integrated how like just people's best artworks, and you could walk through a gallery of somebody's really well drawn, gigantic piece of work that you could look up and admire and kind of get your own inspirations. You know, that sort of thing. They could really implement features like that, which would be really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
Dreams, if they have VR for that, I just feel like is going to be
Oh, I think
Really
Drinks is
crazy.
specifically VR. I think that's...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's like one of those like launch games that can be very specific to PlayStation VR. Like they're kind of like just in charge of that right now. But that's the thing is I did another demo in Vive where it was you're just underwater and you're on a boat that's sunk and a whale swims by you, which was super weird because I'm like looking around on the ground and it got super dark all of a sudden. And I look up and a whale's blocking the sun underwater and I'm like, oh, there's a whale there. And it just gives you that sense of scope. And then I did another demo where you shoot different like robots coming at you. And it was kind of weird because you can like it's basically kind of teaching you how to do completely like 360 viewing in a game because some people come up behind you and you're just shooting basically a survival mode. The sad thing is you get 3 lives at the Microsoft Store, so they give you 3 lives to play this game, this arcade game of like just survive against the robots. And for the last one, my last life, I was just joking around and I put the gun to my head. And pulled the trigger, and my guy died. And it was such a weird sensation to have this controller in my hand, put it to my head, pull the trigger, and my guy went, and I'm like, and they're like, okay, that's your demo, and I'm like, well, crap. I didn't realize that, like, I could really blow my brains out in this game, but, I mean, cause what other game can you grab the gun and put it towards your head, you know, like,
yeah.
You can put the controller anywhere, and like I could see the gun moving towards my ear. Like it was just such a weird sensation to see that. That being said, I did do Oculus Rift. That was basically a series of movies. One was really weird because there's like this alien right in front of you that as you walked around, the alien would just like look at you and watch you. And it's kind of just like a cinematic experience, but it was just so weird that like when you have a game like Skyrim or Fallout where you have these people talking to you. Right now they're looking right at the screen because that's where the camera is. But it's weird that you could like, you're so immersed in this world and Oculus is so clear. That's the big thing with Oculus is it's just crystal clear, like more so than anything. Like it just felt like I was there. And this alien just looking right at your eyeballs. Like it's just, that's a weird thing when it's just like really tracking with you, subtle movements. It's not like awkwardly moving its head to follow you. It's just like, it's just kind of keeping its head where it's at, but just moving its pupils just enough to see where your eyes are, because it knows where your eyes are, too.
Yeah.
That was a very weird sensation, and then one of the coolest demos of Oculus Rift was a T-Rex walks over you, and it just looks like a T-Rex just walked over you, and the headphones are thundering, and it's just, that was
ARC VR.
Yeah. My biggest complaint there with Oculus, and I'm gonna have to figure out before I get it, if I ever do get it, is just my glasses got stuck in it. It was pretty kind of painful on my eyes because it was just so tight. It's such a small unit. Like PlayStation VR just basically cups over your whole head.
Do you think that the glasses made it tighter? Or do
yes,
you think just
I do think my glasses were a problem. That being said, I mean I want to wear my glasses.
Yeah, I probably will wear contacts, I would assume, like when I
Yeah.
But you did try it. You did try your glasses on with the PSVR and with the Vive, and you said it was all good.
With PSVR, the glasses, I didn't even notice they were on. Like it was just that cusped around so much. The thing, I could see the lens a little bit more with PlayStation VR, and with Oculus, I did get used to it after a while. But I could just imagine that being somewhat discomforting for some people. But Oculus was definitely the lightest. Vive was definitely the heaviest. Vive had such a long cable attached to the back of it. It felt like you were being like pulled around by some sort of Matrix machine.
Yeah.
Where Oculus, I was standing up with Oculus and I never once felt like I was being tugged around by the cord that was attached to it. It was just like a tiny USB thing. And once again, the Oculus demo guy was like, I don't know why the Vive has that. He's like, I just don't get like why they need that. They don't need the red dots and they don't need that big cord. But they have it. Like, it just seems like, I mean...
Well, you think, like, Oculus has been around doing this since the beginning of this whole craze, so perhaps they just are, you know, a little bit smarter with it in that regard, and then you also have Sony, who are, like, a consumer electronics, like, huge company. HTC and their Vive, I would say... I don't know, maybe is not, like, I don't know, I've just heard, you know, HTC, I had that HTC phone and stuff that was just absolutely horrible. Yeah, so, I wonder if
they're kind of on the rise. But,
yeah.
They're partnering with Microsoft, though, so I'm surprised it's not more efficient, because Microsoft usually puts out good stuff. I just had a pen. I don't know where my pen went to draw the notes. Oh, there it is, I found it. But yeah, so that's my impressions of that. I do think, I mean... my big thing leaving this weekend though, and especially after leaving the PlayStation VR thing, is just like I understand Nintendo's worry of like jumping in it too quick. Because I understand that they may like try on like a PlayStation VR unit and be like, this isn't at the point they want it to be at yet.
Yeah.
So I do understand that. Like I do think it's from some people it's been a little bit overhyped of how clear and how I'm really there. Like, no.
Yeah.
I could see the ground through my nose, like the nose hole. Like you can see reality around you. You know you're wearing a headset.
Yeah.
There's a little bit, you can see the binoculars, you know, like your glasses are pressed against your face. Like you're completely there yet.
Yeah.
And
if you're wearing glasses, that is.
Yeah. I think even without glasses, maybe I won't, but you can still try, like, feel the headset on with Vive. It feels like you have an extra pound on your head.
Yeah.
I'm saying all that to say, like, it's not completely perfected yet as far as the technology goes. So I can understand that someone like Nintendo or Apple and all of them would want to wait till it is just so perfect.
Well, especially since Nintendo has been burned out on VR from rushing into it way, way too quickly before.
Yeah, that was bad. That being said, I do think this is, with a game with something like Oculus and specifically with the touch controls, that's very, very, very key. I don't really understand too much of an appeal. Well, I get the appeal. I don't understand the revolution behavior or belief, that VR is going to change things with just a controller. In my mind, VR with a controller is just a new fancy display. That's very cool and allows for some really cool interactions with being able to look all around you. But with just a controller, I don't imagine it being too much. Mm-hmm. Virtual reality with two separated controllers that you can move your hands wherever and you can do all that, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is going to be completely changing everything, where you can have two Wiimotes in your hand, two PlayStation Move controllers, two wands in your hand, and draw and sculpt and grab and shoot and have your shield over here and your sword over there, and you swing your sword here and block the person over there. And you see it all in real time, and it's just all completely 100% measured to where your movements are. That's going to be a future of gaming that's going to be
I think
awesome.
that, one of the big things, too, about VR is going to be not just the gameplay innovations, but I feel like one of the really cool things that I've seen somebody already do is, like, they do these drone races and stuff where you can attach a camera to the front of a drone and then put on a VR headset and fly the drone around, and you're basically flying, like, in controlling it, and you can go, you don't have to necessarily race them, but you can just go flying up way into the trees and above into the, and fly over your town and feel like you're floating above your own city. It kind of gives you that feeling of flying. I think that cinematic experiences sort of like that, and also social experiences, like think of games like maybe the Sims
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go, or the Sims VR, or like a sort of Second Life thing where everybody can kind of get together, or even I've seen like the movie theater apps that they have for it, where you can have two friends or multiple friends go to a movie theater together. You guys are sitting next to each other. You can look at your friend there, talk to him, and look up at this huge screen and watch movies together with your friends, like on a virtual immersive experience. And I feel like things like that, where you actually feel like you're in the room with your friend, and co-op experiences like that will definitely will push it, I think, a bit more. I was going to ask if you think, after experiencing PSVR, the Vive, and Oculus, that you are like, this fall I want for sure a VR device. Like, are you completely sold? Are you hyped through the roof on it? Or are you like, I can wait just a little bit longer for perhaps some more?
It depends. I think, especially this new job I got today, that it won't be a money problem or anything. I think, like, we're going to be pretty good on finances, because that is a big question of it. Like, especially with something like Oculus, like $800 on that, like, it's awesome. Is it that awesome? I don't know. PlayStation VR, to have a VR headset in the house, to have the Move controllers and play around with it, like, and have friends over and be like, try this out, and $400, or I guess $500 with all the other stuff, the Move controllers and all that. I mean, that's October 13th. That's my birthday. It sucks I've missed out on every pre-order that's available. But I could see myself looking for a store at midnight and being like, yeah, like, it hasn't made me want to get it any less, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely am going to check Vive off my list. Like, Vive,
Yeah.
unless I have a few extra $100 floating around and I want to have the exclusives available on it, then Vive's kind of just gone. Like, I'd rather just save the $200 extra to get Oculus, or I'd rather just go ahead and back up and maybe lose a little bit of the quality visually to have the comfort and affordability of the PlayStation VR.
Well, yeah, I guess also, like, keep in mind, I've seen, like, Blunty put on his channel, he does some of those reviews of hardware. There's a lot of VR headsets that are also going to be rolling out that are on the more, like, you know, they seem like they're very high end, they seem like they're doing great, and maybe some of them are a little more budget friendly, and if you wanted to still go like the Oculus sort of PC route versus the console PSVR route, there are a lot of, it's like blowing up now, and so in the next year I'm sure there's going to be so many devices. I guess all I would say with that is if you're looking into one of those maybe cheaper ones that still has the specs that you would want out of a VR device, just make sure, I guess, that, I don't know, that you have that in mind, that the support for it might not be as great, it might not last as long as a company, so like it might be not getting firmware updates in a year, you know, those sort of things.
Yeah, I think the winner here overall is Oculus once the touch controls come out. But honestly, if you're wondering like where to jump in on VR, I think Oculus, like once you get the touch controls come out, like that's where to go.
Yeah.
If you have the money in the PC to do it. And as far as like Nintendo goes, like to kind of wrap it up as far as Koppai Podcast, I think like you just said, like they're going to be hopping up all over the place. Especially if they keep Wiimotes going, if they can find a way to do like a Wiimote plus, where it's VR compatible, and then they have a VR unit with the NX, that'll be perfect. That'll be great.
I also
it needs touch controls.
Yeah, definitely. I also kind of predict,
or
like,
motion controls.
Yeah, think of the iPhone, you know, and how I imagine that like the Oculus, I can see in a year or even maybe 2 years or something like that, where they're going to be pushing out the Oculus 2 and the Oculus, like, it's kind of the case with the iPhone where they put out the iPhone 6 or the iPhone 7, and then that makes the iPhone 5 go like really down in price, and I'm in the boat where it's like, I really don't mind the iPhone 5 as much. Like, I find that it still runs efficiently, it's still really quick for me, and it's like, now it's $200 cheaper. I can see that because I feel like VR companies are going to want to constantly innovate and constantly put a new revision of their unit out that's even more top of the line, and that will inevitably make the previous version fall down, which is still super, super powerful for, you know, the average consumer. So I would wait, maybe possibly, like I could imagine that in a year's time the Oculus will not be at that $800 price point. I could imagine that even PSVR might have an upgrade that makes the price go down, or, you know, something like that. So
yeah, I don't know.
Something to keep in mind, I guess.
I wish they would have a heavier unit for Oculus that encompasses more of your face. I think the big thing is they're worried about it being too heavy, because you do have a kind of experience of like, whoa, like a little bit of whiplash when you have a heavy thing on your head.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that with PlayStation VR, but I was also sitting down. I don't know. Because the Oculus is tiny. It is tiny. It's like, I mean, you put that thing on your head like binoculars, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it almost seems like the size of binoculars. Like even smaller, I think, than the Gear VR, like by Samsung, and that thing's pretty small too. Like it seems like on the Google Cardboard side of things, where it's just enough space for your eyes, and that's it. And so hopefully though, I mean, I'm excited to have like my own unit and be able to mess with it and try it on, and put pads in there to make it more comfy, you know, just all stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely want a VR unit with motion controls. I remember leaving PlayStation VR's demo so disappointing, because I'm like, it's cool, but it's like, I mean, I'd rather have a 4K TV than that, you know? Like, if I'm gonna have the controller in my hand, like, it was not too much of a different experience. But when I was doing, especially the tilt brush thing, when I was doing that, I'm like, I could do this for hours and hours, and I've never done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a cool thing when you find that in gaming. Like when you first play Wii Sports Tennis, you know, and you're just like, I've never had this experience in gaming before. This experience of winging my arms around, like that was the same thing with Tilt Brush. And so, so that's wait, let me make a note real quick. And 1 hour 20. We went long again.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's worth it. We had that extra VR discussion at the end that we didn't originally plan. That wasn't Nintendo news, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Koppai Podcast. If you did, be sure to click subscribe and like if you're watching on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming. If you're watching on iTunes or if you're or listening on soundcloud.com/Koppai Podcast, be sure to leave us a positive review, share it, download it, like it, all that good stuff. If you're out for a walk playing Pokemon Go, be sure to be like, hey, listen to this podcast. They talk about everything Nintendo. And just be as supportive as you can if you enjoyed the show. If you didn't enjoy the show, let us know how we can improve the show. We want to grow. We want to make this a dream come true, a reality where we can do this one day 100% full time and just pour our hearts into Koppai, go to conferences, do design, make t-shirts that are dedicated to Nintendo and all this cool stuff. So be sure to let us know how we can improve so we can get to that goal. And if you want to be a part of the community, leave a comment. We usually reply unless for some reason we miss your comment. And if we do miss your comment, tweet at us at Koppai Gaming and we'll get back to you, or message us on Facebook. We have our Facebook page, which is also facebook.com/Koppai Gaming. All that good stuff. We're giving Amiibo giveaways, and an NX giveaway on our Patreon. If you support us and we get to a certain milestone there, if you go to patreon.com/Koppai Gaming, I think, or maybe Koppai Productions, you'll find us there. Just search for Koppai Patreon on Google and you'll find us. But yeah.
Yeah.
Solid episode.
Yeah.
Pokemon
Indeed.
hype.
Pokemon.
VR.
Yeah.
and
NES Mini.
NES Mini, yeah, I can't wait to get that. So, it's gonna be a good year for Nintendo. I'm so curious what the next week we're gonna talk about. Like, what's next week? It was weird. This week was another kind of like Pokemon Go from last week, you know, like kind of like the part 2 of last week's episode. More VR and more Pokemon Go, but it's just gonna be interesting to see how like our discussion. Like it seems like we're always gonna have a Pokemon Go snippet now.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future, just like we always had a Smash snippet and a Super Mario Maker snippet.
Yeah, for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we could have had a Splatoon snippet again this week too, because there's like alternate cover art that came out for the Splatoon game that you can download. It's like the
Team Marie.
Yeah, and also Ally won Evo for Smash.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, congratulations, Ally.
One of my friends that does competitive Pokemon's there right now to watch Pokken Tournament.
Oh wow, cool.
And, I really want now. The Pokemon Go fever has gotten me really wanting to get and like boot up my copy of Pokemon Y and start doing EV and IV training and maybe get into that again, because that'd be a really fun hobby to do on the side.
Yeah, I really need to beat Alpha Sapphire because I have still yet to do that. So I don't think I ever really made it even that far into it. So,
I don't think I ever even bought Omega Ruby.
Yeah.
So I need to buy that before Sun and Moon to get my training and get a new team up. And
Yeah,
I need to finally finish my Nuzlocke of Red.
I'm going to Nuzlocke Alpha Sapphire next. That's my plan.
Okay.
But I'm also going to Nuzlocke Blue and Yellow. I'm planning on doing too after my Red.
Yeah. I suck at Nuzlocking. I've died so many times and it just gets so frustrating.
Once you do it though, the one time, like once you start getting into it and get far enough, I feel like it gets a little easier.
I don't know, man. Have you gone through the Elite Four yet?
Not yet. I still have a lot of grinding to do before that.
Yeah, because you lost your starter in the Victory Road.
That was really sad.
Yeah. Well, now
I also like 2 of them died to Zapdos the other night too.
Oh yeah,
that I
and
had
you had
since
to
the
evacuate.
beginning. Yep.
Yeah. Also, leave comments down below on what team you're on with Pokemon Go. Team Red, Team Blue, Team Valor, Team Mystic, Team Instinct. I'm Team Valor.
I'm Team Mystic.
That's blue, right?
Yep.
Gross. Gross, man. That's so sad. I got my wife on the same team as me, so we get to claim gyms together. She was like, she really wanted yellow.
Yeah, Kayla is blue too.
Good.
Team Mystic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop
Until
spray
next
painting
time. What?
I said stop spray painting stuff, Team Mystic. You're setting a bad example for the rest of us.
Yeah, no one's Team Valor in Minneapolis. It's all yellow and blue. There's like no one that's Valor.
Yeah.
people, I was at the park the other day and they're like, you team yellow? And I'm like, I'm team red. And they're like, get out. And I'm like, I'm a 22-year-old running to my room crying. People say can't play Pokemon in the park. But on that note, until next time, I like the little, like, at the end of the Super Mario level, is like,
Yeah.
and the keyhole kind of shuts and stuff. That's what it reminds me of.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Another Koppai
Another Koppai episode.
in the books.
I think, I think Michaela may be asleep, or maybe she's waiting to come out. She's in the back room, in our bedroom, just waiting for me to be done. But...
Yeah, Kayla left again. I just told her we're done.
Get out. Get them out. Oh, it's National Ice Cream Day. I'm going to have to go get some ice cream.
I think that tomorrow is the Republican National Convention.
Oh.
We're like finally there to Trump's gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean, is there any way he won't get it? I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he's guaranteed to get it, so. But yeah, and he's picked Mike Pence as his VP, and
did he officially announce that?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear people don't like that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Pokemon Go's live in Canada 2 hours ago. There you go, Hidden Gaming. You got it. I'm just checking Twitter real quick. Man, the trading card decks for the Pokemon trading card game some of them were so cool.
Did you see this story? The New Hampshire police used Pokemon Go to lure fugitives to their headquarters.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like the first tweet on my Twitter feed. Most recent one. Wait. Kind of funny reacts to a massive order of Del Taco. I don't understand what kind of headline that is for a video for them. For some strange reason, we unboxed a massive order of Del Taco and decided to record it. Alright. That's the latest kind of funny video.
Oh, it actually didn't work. I just read the story. The lists they said they have a Charizard at their headquarters and listed the names of 500 fugitives that they want, and it's nothing more than a trick to lure the fugitives to their headquarters. According to Sergeant Eric Knight, the Pokemon Facebook post has yet to lead to an arrest. However, it has gotten more than 13,000 likes. Oh, okay.
It's weird to see people using it for like marketing. Like,
yeah.
I saw someone this morning like post a picture where it's like, "Come to our business today. We have Pokemon Go." Like, or like, no matter how you get here, like, we're glad you're here. And it's a picture of Pokemon Go. And like the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup had one. It was like,
yeah. Or even Donald Trump put out that campaign, the corrupt Hillary no.
Yeah, I saw like little bits of that. I didn't see it completely.
And she made that joke about it.
Yeah. That's
Pokemon, go to the polls!
Yeah, oh my gosh. Sigh.
Yeah.
But no, people need to stop telling other people to stop playing it. Like, I don't get that. That's the annoying thing where people are like online, like, everyone needs to quit with this stupid fad. It's like, why? Like, people are walking and getting exercise and having fun with people. Like, I've talked to so many strangers since I got this game, and it's just like, it's made the neighborhood seem so much more happy and light and safe.
Yeah, like the people.
Just moved here. It's like I'm like literally a person from the Pokemon games. I moved to a new neighborhood and played Pokemon.
Yeah.
I had my moving boxes and.
Yeah, it's perfect. That. But I actually saw like some guy that one of those posts that was like I have other things to do with my time because I'm an adult, and I can't play Pokemon Go. And it's like somebody commented, "You've already posted like 10 other things since you posted this on Facebook. It seems like you have like no time at all."
Yeah, well, I mean, and the cool thing is like you don't have time to go for a walk. Like, that's the whole game. Like,
yeah.
It's not like we're like sitting down and like wasting our it's like you literally you go out for a walk. But
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go play it right now. I think we're gonna go for a poke walk. That's what my wife said.
Sounds good. My phone's
she's-
probably charged too.
She's treating me like a dog. She's like, I promise we're gonna go for a walk today, and I'm like whimpering, like, please.
Yeah.
There's a polywag right down the street, and I want it. I don't know if it's there anymore. There's like
We got a Ponyta this morning at Yanny.
I have a couple of those.
Yeah.
I've hatched a couple.
They're pretty rare around Kearney, so it was pretty nice.
I think the only two I have, I've hatched. I think I released one. But yeah, I have Khaleesi, my 558 Ponyta. Yeah, I'm just getting ready for the big evolve-a-thon with my lucky egg.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to do that. I just kind of want to save it for like as long as possible until I'm like maxed out on Pokemon I can carry. But right now, I have 10 Pidgeys and 132 Candy. So I have enough. I have enough to evolve all of them. And I have like 2 Weedles ready to go evolve. I think I have a Caterpie ready to evolve. I have 5 Rattatas ready to evolve. A few Venonats ready to evolve. I think I think maybe just one. I have a Zubat ready to go. It's just like I'm so ready to like just evolve. Oh wait, the gym across the street's unclaimed.
Ooh.
And just run across the street and claim. I don't know why people like don't claim their gyms. They just take them down sometimes and leave them abandoned.
That's crazy.
Did you read that story that like at Area 51 there was like 8 different gyms that were unclaimed?
Wow.
Someone just like walked down to Area 51. There's like a bunch of Pikachu, and then like 8 gyms around the perimeter, and all of them were unclaimed. It was just like, all right, okay. And it was really freaky.
Yeah, I finally was able to put another Pokemon in a gym for just like a second and claim my next 10 coins. So now I have like 30 Poke coins, and then it was like taken within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate that whole.
Someone at work in the Mall of America was like, "Do you live over in the Stevens community? Because I keep getting the red gyms taken over across the street from me, and it says Kaz Risk took over it." I'm like, "Hey, that's me!" Like, quit taking over the gym. I'm on the blue team, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But it's just crazy. Like it's Minneapolis, and someone was like, "Are you the one that keeps claiming the gym at Stevens Park?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was me and my wife the other night." But hopefully, I don't know. Servers have been crap for me today, so hopefully they're better now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm heading off too. I gotta poop. So.
All right. Oh, nice. That's a good way. Yeah, because I'm trying to just keep all this in the post music. So we'll have that in there. What was it?
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm pooping in my
butthole. How's he pooping in his butthole?
Also, all Koppai fans that are looking for a new game to play, be on the lookout for an RPG coming soon.
Oh yeah, another stupid, crappy RPG developed by Mr. Koppai himself.
Mr. Koppai. We'll have to put some Koppai reference in there.
Yeah, it's Koppai Productions 2016 down at the copyright.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think putting Matt on blast from Graphite Lab, I think he told me that they're going to try to put like Mr. Koppai as one of those characters in Hive Jump.
Yeah.
Like as a name, and I keep looking at all the preview images that they put out for Hive Jump. I don't see it yet. So we'll see. That may be some copyright stuff that they need to go through, but I'm gonna be playing as Mr. Koppai. Don't you try to prevent it. Yeah. All right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye Zach.
Bye.
Bye.
Koppai. Bye.
Go bye. Go bye bye.